Please welcome to the stage Duncan Lennox, VP GM Applied AI at Google Cloud.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here at SaaStr. Thanks for taking the time out of your day today to spend a few minutes with me. My name is Duncan Lennox. I lead the Applied AI team at Google Cloud. And what our team does is we get to spend time with customers all over the world, building applications and agents based on Google's latest AI. And as I'm out talking to customers, one of the things I'm hearing a lot right now from them are questions around production implementations and ROI. So a lot of companies have been experimenting with generative AI and LLMs over the last 12, 18 months. And increasingly they're asking, are companies doing this in production at scale? Are they seeing the kind of ROI that we all feel could be there? So we recently finished our most recent survey on the ROI of Gen AI, and we spoke with around 2,500 businesses around the world and asked them how they're using Gen AI today. And the data is pretty clear. 61% of the organizations that we spoke to are already using generative AI in production in their organizations. Of those that are doing that, 86% are already seeing an annual revenue boost of 6% or more. And 74% are seeing ROI within the first year, which is astoundingly fast for the adoption of a new technology. So what I thought we might do is go on a whirlwind tour of some of the areas where we're seeing customers actually use generative AI and large language models in production at scale, where they're getting ROI, and give you some ideas for where you might go. Whether you're an ISV or SaaS provider that's looking at building the next great application, whether you're an enterprise or small business that wants to be able to get the power of generative AI working for you. So let's dive right in to the first of our 6 areas. Customer experience. So this is actually probably one of the first areas that you think of when you think about applying generative AI to businesses. So this is everything from chatbots to being able to engage directly with customers and answer their questions. And what's interesting is not only do we see increased customer satisfaction, which is what you'd be hoping that you would see, but we're actually also seeing increased customer loyalty and increased sales and revenue. Because one of the things that's happening with the use of AI here is the ability to not only solve problems for your customers faster, but also actually offer highly relevant upsell opportunities that get much higher acceptance rates than traditional upsell opportunities. So this is doing everything from personalizing product recommendations. Of course, it's about omnichannel. It's about being able to meet your customer where and when and how they want, whether that's chat, whether that's video, whether that's voice. Being able to deliver very nuanced, precise responses to your customers' queries, and even being able to do things like respond in many different languages, allowing your customers to engage directly with you in their native language. And doing things like real-time topic and sentiment analysis, where we can actually see what are the big issues that your customers are having right now, and make sure we're addressing that through chatbots, voice agents, and so forth as well. So a great example of a company doing this at scale is Best Buy, where you can actually interact with the product support chatbot, get detailed answers to specific product questions, but also actually handle more complex things that traditionally would have involved speaking to a human, like scheduling a delivery, combining multiple orders into a single delivery, doing rescheduling, and so forth. Okay, number 2, employee productivity. How can we take some of the drudgery out of repetitive tasks that folks have to do every day that have traditionally been difficult to automate, increase productivity overall, and become a single source of knowledge sharing and collaboration in the form of an assistant that knows all about your company and its policies, but also about your specific work documents? So here, of course, we can take some of those repetitive tasks away. We can do some of the things that you may have seen in many of the Gen AI and LLM tools, like summarizing documents and meeting notes and so forth. But we can also get into some of the more advanced capabilities where we can use advanced reasoning and analysis to actually analyze financial data, provide insights back to you from that, and do things like personalized training materials. This is turning out to be one of the most interesting areas where the LLM technology can actually tailor the training experience to you, your specific needs and area of weakness. let you focus more on solving problems for your customers, whoever they may be. And a great example of this is HCA Healthcare, one of the largest healthcare providers in the United States. They've developed a tool called Katie, which actually is for caregivers. And it's designed to allow caregivers spend more time with their patients and less time working on paperwork. So what it does is it actually streamlines the handover process when there's a shift change, moving from one caregiver to the next. And it automatically summarizes the healthcare relevant events that happened during that last shift, provides it in simple, straightforward language to the caregiver that's taking over, and takes away a bunch of the paperwork processing that's normally part of that handover process. Number 3, marketing and creative content. Here's an area where we see AI really augmenting human creativity, not designed to replace humans here, but think of it as your digital muse, your 24/7 brainstorming partner that's there to work through creative ideas with you, come up with ideas you might not have thought of on your own. Of course, that can include things like generating marketing copy, creating digital assets, whether that's images, video, and so forth as well. But it also lets you get into creating these personalized experiences for your audiences, because it already knows your brand, the voice of your brand, etc. as well, and can actually take that into account as part of the creativity process. A great example of this is from the retailer Carrefour, one of the largest retailers in the world, over 14,000 stores around the globe. And in a few weeks, they created a tool that they call Campaign Manager using generative AI. And it allows them to build entire marketing campaigns, not just marketing copy, but also the digital assets, and even things like scripts for radio and TV as well, and produce that in minutes, what used to take hours and days. And it also allows them to then even deploy those assets to their digital marketing channels, whether that's Google Ads or YouTube or Instagram and so forth. So really accelerate that feedback cycle and the ability of marketing to respond much faster to changing market conditions and addressing the needs of their customers. Number 4, data analysis and decision making. A meta theme overall that you're hearing in some of these examples is about the advanced reasoning and insight capabilities of generative AI and large language models. And data analysis, of course, is a perfect area for this, allowing you to really get to those insights that can make a difference. The volume of data everyone is dealing with every day is skyrocketing, and your data is trying to tell you a story. The question is, are you listening? And it's very difficult to get to those insights in a lot of cases due to the complexity and volume of the data. And this is an area where we're seeing substantial impact from AI. It starts with things like making it easier to ingest the data in the first place, ETL jobs, cleaning and organizing the data so that it can actually then be used. And then moving on to some of the initial, more straightforward but meaningful tasks like optimization of pricing and inventory strategies. But then we can get on to some of the really more interesting tasks like advanced pattern recognition, where we're getting into things like anomaly detection, literally finding the needle in the haystack, getting into predictive modeling, where we can look at things like not only forecasting sales, but customer churn, equipment failure, and so forth as well. A company that's really leveraging generative AI in this area is Neo4j, a leading graph database company. And they've integrated generative AI into their product suite. And that allows customers to do things like query the knowledge graph using natural language, actually interact directly with it and get insights that they wouldn't otherwise have gotten. It also allows you to take that knowledge graph and then use it as part of your other generative AI solutions as a grounding tool, using that knowledge graph as a source of truth to avoid hallucination. All right, product development. This is another area there's been a lot of excitement in from early on, software engineering, and how we can use generative AI around developer productivity. So coding itself is a complex task. It involves understanding a lot of the domain space that you're working in, as well as obviously the technical complexities of your architecture, the languages that you're using, and so forth as well. And there's a bunch of areas where coding assistants can help take out some of the manual steps that are typically there for software engineers, let them focus their time and energy on the higher value problems. So starting from generating code in the first place from natural language or assisting in code completion. And this, of course, can be tailored to your own private code repositories. So it's not just the broad coding knowledge that the LLM has, but enhancing it and fine-tuning it with your own code repos yourselves. Identifying and fixing bugs is a great area where we can identify problems easier. It's a truism in software engineering that the earlier in the development cycle that you can catch and fix a bug, the substantially cheaper it is to deal with. So if we can catch things before code even goes into production, not only are we going to prevent customers from experiencing those things, but it becomes cheaper to actually deal with as well. And compilers have advanced in many ways over the last decades and now can provide a lot of not just syntactic, but semantic error checking as well. But compilers don't understand what it is your code is trying to do. They don't understand the business problem. Leveraging large language models, we can actually get insights into what the code is trying to do and actually recommend how to fix the code. We can also take this into the area of explainability. One of the biggest productivity sinks is when a new engineer joins a team, joins a product, and have to get up to speed on the code base that exists for that product. Even if you have one of the most well-documented code bases in the world, which I'm sure everybody does, it's still a complex journey to wrap your head around that. And LLMs can actually help with explainability, explain what a chunk of code is doing. And it really helps engineers get up to speed faster. And of course, we can do things like help people move code bases from one language to another as languages themselves evolve. So Turing is an example of an AI-enabled tech services company that is leveraging this kind of technology for their developer productivity. And what they've been able to do is take their own private repos and code bases to augment the LLM, and they're seeing 30% productivity improvements from their engineers with this code assistance. And finally, let's talk about security, risk, and compliance. So security is very much needle in a haystack kind of work. How do we spot an anomaly or something that's going on that could result in fraud or cyber attacks, or just risk of non-compliance? And again, this needle in a haystack type of problem is perfect for generative AI and large language models. So we see companies doing things like investigation assistance, event summarization. Often if you're dealing with a security event, there is a lot happening in real time. So the ability to have accurate, up-to-date summarization of where the event is at right now, what next steps are, is incredibly valuable. Lets the security engineers stay focused on managing and mitigating the incident, not having to write up what it is that they're actually doing all the time. Anomaly detection generally becomes very powerful for everything from safeguarding client data, where you can identify exfiltration in real time, looking at things like fraudulent transactions across a different number of parts of Google. We actually use this kind of technology to detect fraud in near real time. And while we've been using machine learning at Google to do that for a long time, the move to large language models has enabled us to respond to the adversarial space much faster. Typically, even if you were using machine learning, you would have needed thousands of examples of a particular kind of fraud or scam or attack to train the models to detect it. And what we've found with large language models is, with very little data, they can detect new kinds of attacks. So we can respond and shut those down much faster. And that applies to all kinds of anomaly detection across the security space. So it lets us focus on protecting infrastructure with continuous monitoring. An example of a company that's doing this is Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto have integrated advanced AI search capabilities and their own internal corpus of data into the responses that they're able to provide to customers, making sure that they're always providing the most up-to-date, most accurate information to their customers. So we've flown through 6 areas really fast. I just wanted to be able to whet your appetite with some of these examples of things that customers are doing in production at scale today, to give you a sense of how real the ROI already is for customers with generative AI. You've seen some of those areas that we touched on. You've seen some of the ROIs that they're getting. So I encourage you to think about these kinds of use cases and others and identify the priority ones for you that can deliver ROI fastest. We'd love to talk to you more about your use cases and how we can help. You can find us over at booth D503. If you'd love to come talk to us about AI, we'd be delighted to chat to you, tell you more about some of the things we're working on with customers around the world. And I think later this afternoon, we may even have some boba tea if that is your thing as well. So thank you all for your time on the Whirlwind Tour, and we hope we get to talk to you later.